Alright guys, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be discussing how you guys obtain a tax refund here in Jamaica. And if you do not watch my previous video on how you obtain a credit card, please go back and watch it and then you can come back here. But anyways, we're just going to jump right into the video so I can give you all the information. Now, tax refund is something that you guys have probably heard about in other countries, like in America or in Canada. At the end of the year, that is the financial year, it normally ends in March. Persons normally say, okay, I'm gonna be getting back a tax refund, and in America it sounds so exciting to get back money at the end of the year. And so in Jamaica here, it is something I think we're not really educated about, and something that you guys need to know, that you can indeed obtain a tax refund here in Jamaica. Now, how are you gonna go about doing that? In Jamaica here, we have a threshold for how much you are taxed based on what you're earning, and that is 1.5 million. I know the government is looking into how they can probably adjust it, so that would mean that you wouldn't be taxed so much depending on what you're earning. So right now it's 1.5. So that means that if you earn anything over 1.5, it is taxed. If you earn below 1.5, then you won't pay that sort of tax. Of course, we have other tax you pay when you buy food, gas, those kind of things, you pay tax. But you don't pay the government tax. For us, when we work as government, it is called a PAYE, and it comes out every month from your paycheck, right? And so of course that goes into a pool or whatever the government does with it. Because you earn above 1.5, you are able to do that. Now, in that same breath, if you earn above 1.5, then you're going to be expected to pay this kind of tax, and it can go up to about 25% of your wages, which is why in the end you're probably going to be able to claim or get a refund for some of it, because probably you were like overtaxed by a little bit. And how I was introduced to this thing is because I have two jobs. In another video, I'll explain some of those things to you. Anyways, I have two jobs, and so it was when I got my second job at the end of the year in March is when they would have said to me, okay, they would have sent it to me in the form, but I didn't know what it is because it's the first time I was seeing it. So when I got it, I would have called them and I say, hey, what is this? Yada, yada, yada. And they would have said it is your P24 for you to take to the tax office to receive your refund. And of course, that was very foreign to me because I wasn't exposed to it before. And so when you're going to be looking about your tax refund, you are going to have to get your P24 from your employers, or normally your employers, or your employee. It depends. So that is a form that will show, for example, how much you would have paid in taxes for that particular institution for the whole year. Your pension, all of those things will be on the P24 form. If you have one job and you're working part-time and they charge you a lot of taxes, let us say 25%, then you're able to obtain back taxes at the end of the year. If you have two jobs, so let us say you have that job and your regular job and it's above 1.5, you'd have to combine both of your P24 forms. Now these forms, you just go to your employers and ask them for it. So for that employer, they would have given it to me. For my other employer, I would have had to go to them and say, okay, I need the P24 so I could bring to the tax office to sort it out. If you have two jobs, you're going to need both of them. If you have three jobs, you need all three, because they need to see what you're earning, how much you would have paid if you would have overpaid. That is the whole point of it. When you overpay, then you get back money. That is the whole point of the refund. All right, so that is it. So you get back your P24s and you go to the tax office. Not your regular aspect of the tax office, there's a part of it. For our tax office here, there is a part, I think they are like the debt collectors or the tax office or something like that. And so you go to them and they're going to plug in your information, and then they're going to generate your form that you're going to bring to your tax revenue department, and they're the one who's going to issue the refund for you. So when you go there, you're going to need your P24s, of course, your identification method, and they will go ahead and do your little calculations to see if there is anything that you will need to get. But before you do that, I would recommend, and they're going to tell you when you go there, so you can do it beforehand. Go on the Tax Jamaica website and you're going to create an account for yourself. Via the account, that is how they will communicate to you to let you know, all right, you would have sent in these forms, how much your return should be. Remember, you're claiming, and so even though they would have given you a calculation, you have to still go to your tax revenue department for them to really go over it and to see if that's really the amount that you are supposed to get. So going there and doing that, you would hand in everything, they would do their little thing, the calculations, and you get back your form. Now, on the form, you're gonna know if you are supposed to receive back something or if you owe them something. I know sometimes persons can be pretty skeptical. Because if you do it and you owe the government, of course you're gonna have to pay the government. And if you do it and they owe you, then they'll give you back something. But some persons will say, well, if I never did it and then I end up owed the government, then that is kind of really not such a good thing. And who wants to pay the government more money, right? But that is just how it works. So you have to go and do your necessary checks to see if the government will owe you anything. All right, fine. So I went there, did everything, and so it turns out that they would have owed me a little bit of money. Not a lot, but anything we accepted at this point. And so I went, got the forms, everything. Got them back. I went up to know the tax refund revenue department, and that is where you're gonna be assigned to an officer to your case to go through your documents to see if you are really supposed to be getting back a refund from the government. And so they're gonna check every little thing. First of all, the government don't want to give you back any money, so they're gonna go through every single thing to ensure that you are indeed supposed to get back something. When you go, they're gonna tell you that it can take about 6 months for you to get your returns. And it was the first time I was doing it, and so I said okay. But after 6 months, I realized that I wasn't hearing back from them. So I went back up there, and they're saying, okay, we have quite a lot of persons to deal with, and so you're gonna have to wait. But I was like, it's been 6 months now, and I haven't heard anything. And so that is when the lady would have said to me, well, firstly, we have to do an interview. And I was like, okay, so for the past 6 months, nobody could have called and said you need to do an interview. But anyways, I went, did the interview with the lady. In the interview, they're gonna ask you quite a bit of questions. Basically to state your name, if you have any dependents, where you live, how many incomes you have, because of course you're gonna have to cross-reference your answer to what you would have placed on the form, because if you put 2P24, it means that you're saying that you have two forms of income. So they want to know that. They want to know if you have any loans, any debt. In my credit card video, I was saying to you guys that when you have a credit card, it is termed to be a loan from the bank, and so that is also taken into consideration. If you have a vehicle, if there is anything owed on the vehicle, if you have a house, or if you are renting, if you are married, all of those questions they're gonna ask you. And I was like, well, are you asking me this because you're gonna be giving me back some more money? Because if you guys know how the system works in America, depending on your dependents or whatever, you're actually giving back money from the government for your dependents. You can claim for your dependents, but sadly in Jamaica we're not there as yet, so you will not receive any money from those questions, even though they're asking the questions. Okay, fine. So after going through the interview, then she would have said, okay, we're going to look into it, and of course they're going to take your banking information. If you know someone there, you know how Jamaica run. If you know somebody, then probably you can get it done a lot faster. But for me, it was the first time, right? So she'd have taken the banking information, and she said, okay, she'll keep in contact with me. We were going through things back and forth, and there's also something that I would have realized. So even though on your P24 you are going through all of your things, even your pension too. And so it's at that point I realized that where I am currently working, some of the pension things were not done properly, and so it caused a hindrance for me. And even though I was saying to you, sometimes when persons do these things is when they find out that you owe the government money. But it's always good to do these things, because at that point I would have realized that something is going wrong with my pension. And this is why when sometimes persons retire and they're supposed to be getting their pensions and stuff, they have issues, because over the years they would have not been checking on these things. So it was a very good thing for me to be able to actually see what was going on. And because of that pension issue, I had to turn over my pay slips for the whole year that I was claiming for, to show that I was paying my pension, right? So it's good for you guys to go through these things, just to ensure that when you guys retire, things are in order and you don't have to be run up and down trying to get this or figure out this, right? So it was very good for me to be able to experience that. Okay, so doing the interview, left, was waiting for about 1 or 2 weeks. She called back with a pension issue. I went to where I'm working, got the correct value for it, got it sorted out. And then I think it was about 2 weeks after that, I would have received a message on my tax administration account, which is, I was saying to you guys, that is where they will talk to you. And so upon receiving the message, Guys, so unfortunately I would have forgotten my credentials for the account, so I could not get into it. But anyways, I just messaged my person I was dealing with, my particular person who was looking at my case, and I said to her, hey, I saw that I received a message, but I can't open it because I forgot my stuff. And she was saying, okay, that's fine. Probably it is the government just informing you that you will be receiving a certain amount. Now, what I claimed for, I received a little bit more than that, and so because of that, I had to then go back to the tax revenue department for them to explain to me why I would have gotten a little bit more. And the reason is because at one of my jobs, I am making over the threshold amount, but at the other job I was not, and so I should not have been paying any pay while on it, but they were taking it from my account. And so because of that, the government is going to move to give you back what would have been deducted that should not have been. And so all of that was culminated and then deposited into my account. So pretty hassle free once you get to that point. But I think it's important for you guys when you start to work to understand these things. I mean, it is your money, and who best to go through your things more than you, right? So it's best for you to start to go through these things, try to experience it. Even if you have one job and you're making above the threshold, it's best for you to then go in, try to do your tax refunds every year. Even if you get back $5, it's better than nothing, because trust me, in this economy right now, anything is better than nothing. And so it is something that I will be doing actually every year. So at the end of every financial year, which I said at the end of March, you can then go and ask for your P24, and it's going to reflect from the previous year. So for example, um now we're at the end, almost at the end of 2023. So therefore next year, March 2024, it will be the end of the financial year. And so by at least April, you normally can get your P24, so you can go to the tax office and get your stuff done, and it's pretty smooth sailing from there. So letting you guys know that in Jamaica you're able to access these things. Don't just hear these things and think it's foreign. It's your money. You need to know what's going on with your money. And it's also very good because sometimes you are working in an institution, they don't turn over your things. So they don't turn over your pension, they don't turn over your NHT, they don't turn over your NIS. And you have no idea until you're finished in your 60s and your old age and your retires, when you're trying to figure out how am I going to go back and try to receive these things, or to figure out what went wrong. And so once you are going through the system, the government, they're pretty efficient in trying to track your money, and that's very good. And so I would have appreciated that from the process. And so if this is something that you guys are interested in, if you have any other questions, if you're not really clear on something, you can put us in the comments below, and I will be more than happy to help you guys. So thank you for coming to this another money talk. And so next week we'll be moving on to another topic here, things that affects us here in Jamaica. So until then, bye guys.